A boy calls 911. Then the cop opens the door and his blood freezes. The genuine essence of parenthood resides in the lifelong commitment of parents to safeguard, cherish, and nurture their children. They invest their time, energy, and resources to offer their offspring the best possible life. It is unsurprising that a parent's love stands as one of the purest and most unconditional forms of love ever known. Nonetheless, in contrast to this well-accepted idea, incidents of child maltreatment by parents are no longer infrequent. The following encounter between a cop and an 8-year-old will leave you stunned. Officer Jody Thompson, residing with his family in the small town of Potomac, Oklahoma, worked with the Department of Violence in close relationships. He was formerly a part of the armed forces and had served the sheriff department for more than 16 years. Throughout his entire life, he had encountered several heart-wrenching cases. He had seen the worst kinds of incidents involving maltreatment of all kinds. However, this calamitous scenario Jody came across in April was like no other. It all began when Jody received a call reporting domestic mistreatment and a possible attempt to harm inflicted upon a child by his parents. The caller was frantic, sobbing, and extremely anxious. Although Jody was habitual of receiving such calls, this time he had a peculiar feeling that the incident was much more tragic than the ones he had dealt with in the past. After assuring the caller, he immediately rushed to the crime scene. While driving, he prepared himself like he usually did for facing a dreadful situation ahead. Little did he know, no amount of experience or training could prepare him for the frightening scene that he was yet to see. After knocking twice, Jody broke open the front door. Several pieces of broken glass crumbled beneath his footsteps, and several things were cluttered on the dirty wooden floor. Fallen dining chairs surrounded the center table, and the kitchen counter emitted a stinky smell. As he stepped inside, Jody immediately spotted a rope covered in mud. It had been tied to something, so he followed it. The rope led him to a corridor where his footsteps automatically came to a halt as he stood frozen in shock. His eyes widened with horror as his mind took a few seconds to absorb and process the scene in front of him. An 8-year-old boy was about to drown in an enormous garbage can filled with water. He was repeatedly striving to come up for fresh air but continued to sink. He was tied mercilessly from the ankles and wrists. His mouth was covered too. Before Thompson knew it, his feet rushed him to the rescue of the scared child. Jody hurriedly pulled the child out of the water and made him lie down on the floor to untie him. As soon as the cloth dislodged from his mouth, the child began hyperventilating and screaming, "Help! Help! They'll kill me!" The child gave out a piercing cry of fear and pain. I'm here to save you," Jody assured him as he finished removing all of the ropes from the child's body. While carrying the little boy towards the ambulance that had arrived, Jody could feel his soul shatter into a million pieces. He instantly knew that the 8-year-old boy would impact his life immensely. At the hospital, the child was taken to a trauma room. Jody was informed that the boy was named John and his parents were nowhere to be found. As Thompson waited in the emergency room, anxious for John, he couldn't stop thinking about the wounds and cuts present all over John's body. It was quite evident that the innocent boy was beaten and was a victim of domestic mistreatment for a long time. Moreover, the doctors informed Jody that John was extremely feeble. His bones were visible under his skin, indicating that the child almost starved to death. Fortunately, however, he was stabilized. Jody vowed that he wouldn't leave the boy's side. He stayed with John at the hospital and watched him recover. "No one can harm you anymore. I've got you. I'm here to safeguard you." Jody would hold John's hand and assure him. That's not all. A few days later, Jody took an enormous decision that altered his life and his family's forever. Both Jody and his wife knew that even after recovering, John would go from one foster care to another, and he would never get a proper home. There was also a risk of him being subjected to cruelty, negligence, and violence. Therefore, Jody and his wife decided to adopt John, since they realized that he was too precious to be dealing with any more physical or emotional trauma. Years later, the adoption turned out to be a blessing for John. He was not only able to emotionally, mentally, and physically heal from his childhood tragedies, but also became a healthier and happier version of himself. Moreover, there was another unique addition to the Thompson family, John's biological sister. When Jody and his wife were informed about the birth of John's baby sister, they adopted her within a day. At present, both John and his sister are showered with all the affection, care, and protection that they deserve. At first, the adoption remained a confidential matter because Jody wanted to gradually introduce John as his son, allowing the young boy to transition into his new life smoothly. However, as time passed, the news spread throughout the town, leading to multiple interviews with Jody and John. I never undertook any of this for recognition from others. From the moment I first laid eyes on John, I knew he was my future son. There was something special about him. Jody told the reporters, his eyes welling up with tears of joy. Undoubtedly, it's clear that parenthood is born from the heart and soul rather than mere biological connections. What do you think of this incident? Let us know in the comments section. I hope you liked this video. Please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends and family. Also subscribe and press the bell icon to never miss the update from our channel. Thank you.